I am not a Marvel fan, especially with the most recent films that they've been doing. I think it's just all full of CGI and they're just redoing the same stories over and over again, and I just think they're really bad. I think I fell off with Marvel characters when I watched the Amazing Spider-Man films. I thought they were terrible, as did everyone else. And that's obviously ironic because they weren't even Marvel properties. They were, all I know is that Sony owns Spider-Man. So it's not even Marvel's fault that I stopped watching Marvel films. I did watch Endgame when I was a child. I watched the Iron Man films. They were good films. Looking back on it, I can see why I liked it and why other people liked those films. And it's because they didn't recycle the same story over and over again like they do with their modern Marvel films. And more importantly, they didn't over-rely on CGI, which they do so much in their most recent films. I think I saw a Thor film a few years ago, just because I have a Cineworld card, so I can go to the cinema for free, and my friends were going. So I was like, why not? I'll go. We'll laugh at how shit it is. And we did. We laughed at how shit it is. And the fact it was 12 rated and kept mentioning orgies, which was a bit weird, to be honest. However, I have just watched Thunderbolts, and I think it's a good film. I'm sure everyone who is a huge fan of Marvel think it's a great film and are still going to hate on me for saying that it's only a good film. But let's be honest, it is only a good film. There's going to be CGI in any film like this, considering, they're superheroes. But the issue I have is with noticeable CGI. And even there's a car chase scene in it with a limousine. It's Marvel, so there's obviously elements of comedy. And that didn't seem to over-rely on CGI at all. I didn't even really notice any CGI in that scene, which I thought was very good. But there is a fight scene towards the end where it's very obvious that this CGI and it just looks a bit awkward. Especially when CGIing people, it's just very noticeable. But getting all the negatives out of the way, I think Thunderbolts was a very good film, and is hopefully showing that Marvel has switched things up a bit. I'm going the wrong way. Why did I move into that lane? If they keep making films like this, where it's not just the same boring storyline over and over again, and they don't over-rely on CGI, and they actually do interesting things and tackle interesting subjects, which this film did. We'll get back to that in a minute. Spoilers, depression. Then normal people like me, not people who are obsessed with Marvel, will hopefully start going to the cinema more and watching their films and enjoying them. And, well, importantly for Marvel Studios, getting them money, because is Marvel owned by Disney? I feel like everyone's owned by Disney at the moment. I think Marvel might be owned by Disney. Yo, look here. Why are you telling me about your pregnancy over WhatsApp? What is going on? This film has interesting characters in it. They're not all boring. They're not, out of this world characters, don't get me wrong. The writing isn't 10 out of 10, which is why the film isn't 10 out of 10. But the writing is exactly what you'd expect from a good old classic Marvel film, like the original Iron Man film, or even the original Avengers. That was good. I don't really remember it. I watched it 13 years ago. Brother, in all that's holy, why are we going so slow when joining a motorway? I'm literally about to watch someone crash into a lorry. I mean, come on, you don't have to be that smart to drive a car nowadays. I can drive a car. So why was this Marvel film so good, especially in comparison to the others? Well, as I've already mentioned, didn't over-rely on CGI. There were some CGI elements, but shush, I'm a critic when it comes to CGI. I'm not as bad as Christopher Nolan, but I'm almost there. The comedy was good in the fact that it was funny when it needed to be. There were some humorous jokes that the adults would enjoy as well. Inappropriate innuendo ones, which means the children can still watch it, but the adults watching the film as well can also still enjoy the jokes. The pacing was excellent. I wasn't finding myself thinking that a scene was boring, or that this scene is being rushed through, or that we just spent too little time on the main character, which we didn't. It dived right into the action at the beginning and enticed us in, but it didn't rush anything, which is good, and I feel like Marvel films have an issue with their pacing. Another thing with the comedy, I feel like a lot of recent Marvel films, they over-rely on the comedy, and it's just because the writers think it'll be easier to just go all in with the jokes instead of actual character development, or, delving into the topic of the movie. And the topic of Thunderbolts is a lot better than you'd expect. Delves into basically the main character and the kind of villain feeling, spoilers by the way, feeling depressed or not having a purpose, this, that and the other, childhood trauma, all of that fun stuff, which I can actually appreciate. I think they did a very good job of delving into it in their own Marvel fashion, where it interlinks with, you know, these characters who aren't superheroes but live in a world where superheroes are very much the norm. It did reference previous films, which I have not watched. I'm glad I haven't watched them, because it referenced the film with that Red Hulk in it, so I'm glad I didn't watch that, because I heard it was absolutely woeful. But another thing with the Marvel films, which is why I feel like a lot of people struggled to watch them, is because they haven't seen all of them. God knows how many Marvel films there are, probably like 73 or something, plus 27 series they have to watch on Disney+. But I think because people feel like they have to watch them all to actually understand what's going on in the most modern films, they kind of get turned off to go and watch the most recent films. And that is definitely one of the reasons why I wouldn't want to go watch a random Marvel film. Only when I watch this one, because my friend said that they apparently aren't relying on CGI, and my friend was correct, they aren't relying on CGI. Apparently Florence Pugh actually jumped off of the second tallest building in Europe or something to create an opening scene. Oh, I've just seen a mashed up car. You've rear-ended someone, you silly Billy. It doesn't have the stereotypical Marvel formatting either, because I'm watching it waiting till the end, where they're going to fight the bad guy that's been introduced and all that, and then it's going to have a cliche cliffhanger for the next film or something. But it doesn't. The ending, they're beating this guy's depression. That's I would not expect that from a Marvel film. If someone asked me last year what film in 2025 is going to have the ending where they're battling someone's depression in a visual format, obviously, as a viewer we've got to be able to take it in, I would not say Marvel. So well done, Marvel. You've got some brownie points from me. Not that that means anything. Maybe 2025 is going to be the year where things turn around for these big franchises. I heard that the woman in charge of Star Wars has dipped, and hopefully someone who actually knows what they're on about is going to be in charge. And now Marvel with Thunderbolts. There is a slim chance, but a chance nonetheless, that Marvel can actually create decent films again. The issue with Marvel is that they went for the quantity over quality strategy. I mean, I guess it worked for a bit, but yeah. The horse is long dead by now. That's a saying, right? Involving a dead horse or something. Or is it about milking a cow and not being able to milk it? Here's a joke about a cow and being milked. What's the difference between 9/11 and a cow? Yeah, I know. You can't milk a cow after 24 years. Now, you can tell that I don't watch Marvel films. And it turns out everyone else in the cinema with me does watch Marvel films. Because after the credits, I often sit through some of the credits to show respect, you know. So I waited for the actual rolling credits, not the like stylized credits where it comes up with the most important people and all the cast. The actual rolling credits itself, I waited for that. And I was the only person to leave the cinema. Everyone else stayed because of the cliche that Marvel always has end screen credits and all that, which I'm sure they do. I don't know if it was any good. If I cared enough, I can just go onto YouTube and I give it 2 days. You know what? Yeah, I don't even have to go onto YouTube. I can guarantee I can just say to my phone, Marvel Thunderbolts, and then it will listen to me. Because, you know, my CIA agent is spying on me. And then in 2 days' time, on my FYP page, while I'm scrolling through TikTok, it will show me the end credits to Thunderbolts. In case you couldn't tell, all of my reviews are extremely biased. It really does do a good job of delving into these topics for these characters about their childhood trauma, and it displays it in a very good way too, as it shows how it's very hard. It would be very hard. I mean, again, I don't have any childhood trauma, I'm guessing here. There was no acting, which I found really cringe. At the end of the day, it's adults pretending to be superheroes, so it is inherently cringe. But you know what I mean, it didn't come across as cringe or anything, which is good. But yeah, I really did enjoy the fight scenes. Marvel films or like Fast and Furious films, their fight scenes are just so boring. But this one actually had decent choreography in it, especially with, not the first fight scene, because she goes into like a place and kills loads of scientists or some rubbish. Spoilers, by the way, spoilers. But the second main fight scene, it has all the main characters all trying to fight each other. and it does a great balance of the humour and the actual action and propelling the story. It's a bit annoying with Florence Pugh as the main character constantly speaking her mind so that us as the audience understand what she's thinking, which is a shame, but I mean, it is for kids at the end of the day. They don't really have the best attention span, especially with TikTok and all that rubbish. The cinematography and stuff like that is nothing special. There are some good shots, definitely, especially when they're trying to beat up the guy who they help cure his depression with later on, because it's just like the camera's just stuck on him and he's beating them all up. But sadly, that scene's ruined with the CGI I mentioned earlier. And overall, the worst part about this film has got to be Florence Pugh's Russian accent. I haven't spent much time in the company of Russians, but Florence Pugh just does not do a good accent when it comes to Russians. I think she has quite a unique voice, quite raspy, and maybe that's why she just can't really pull off the Russian accent that well. I can't really complain though, I can barely speak English, which is my first language.